Hi, welcome everyone to Agency Rainmaker TV. This is the show when we help agency rainmakers, those agency owners who want to find right fit prospects for their pipeline. But today we're not just talking about any right fit prospect. We're talking about the big prospects, the whales that feed the village for a year. And with me, I have Tom Searcy, the author of The Whale Hunter and How to Close a Deal Like Warren Buffett. Welcome, Tom. How are you doing today?
Henry, I am great. It is great to see you again. Thanks for inviting me on the show.
Tom is the founder of Hunt Big Sales. And recently I was thinking about Tom because I was at the San Diego Zoo and they have an exhibit about all the animals that lived in Southern California in the Ice Age. And they had a full-size replica of a 12-foot tall woolly mammoth. And they had fossil evidence of spearheads in the bones of the woolly mammoths that they have been excavating in Southern California. So this means that human beings formed groups with spears and went down and took down 12-foot tall mammoths with enormous tusks. I would have loved to have been at the sales meeting when the sales manager explained how that was going to work and who was going to be used as bait. So with that, Tom is the expert in hunting the big account. These are different deals. There's a different approach to this. I've been very favored to be a part of Tom's team for a number of years and help with different writing and editing, and we've spoken together and just have so much respect for Tom. Tom, why don't you tell the viewers, who do you serve? Who is your ideal customer?
Our ideal customer are companies that are between $10 million and $250 million in their annual revenue. Typically, they are in their second generation, although that's not a requirement for it. It's all business to business selling. So for us, we're looking for that group that we can get to the senior leadership and CEO level. And our deal is that they're looking to double the speed that they double the size of their company.
Double the speed that you double the size, a double, if you will. So it's a different game when you're playing at that level. You don't just come in with a couple of people to make the presentation. I know you always teach you need to have like a full team to match their full team. They're going to bring 6 to 8 to the table, and you need to bring 6 to 8 to the table. How could you explain that?
Yeah, it's a peer-to-peer matching that you need to have. Now, it depends upon your level. When you talk about that professional services level of engagement, how that you're going to work, and depending upon what services that you're going to offer. We offer professional services that are around how do you help organizations to grow. And so, we help companies learn how to sell money. So we need to be talking to their CFO and to the CEO who wants to have the growth engine, the CRO, who's the chief revenue officer. So those three and others, that's not going to work with just one salesperson. You need one of our salespeople, senior executive, sometimes an additional consultant who's going to be working on their overall program. Because if it's just one person, then your idea is that what happens if that one person leaves? I'm done. I don't have any additional, and I'm just left hanging out there. And I don't want to be if I've hired a company and a group of consultants to solve a problem for me.
I thought of you so much this year, Tom, because, well, Tom was responsible, I think, or his fingerprints are on the gun for getting me to start Indie Books International. A conversation in a bar over some red wine, and he predicted my future, and the future all came true. And this year, I think I would have to say I landed my first whale,
That's
and
awesome.
I was a subcontractor through an agency in San Francisco, and they talked about their client that was in Taiwan and would I write the book for them. I got my first clue when I sent my proposal, which was double my usual proposal, and the client came back and asked why I skinnied the proposal. They wanted my best efforts and team on this, so I said, oh, well, that would be 25% higher. And they said, okay. So that was a clue. The second clue was they were coming to the Computer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, and they wanted me to meet them there. And I thought, well, I should look up who this person is, and found out that they were the president of a big subsidiary for the 20th largest company in the world. So I'd say that's a whale. So
That's a whale. That's a whale.
we're on to that into that whale right now. Tom, what's the advice that you have for companies who want to find this big account, that they want to hunt the big sale? How should they go about that?
First, we start off by the idea that figuring out all the people you don't want to hunt. You have to get to a target filter, and there's a tendency, if you're an agency, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're growing your business, to chase everybody who calls you or sends you a text or an email and expresses some level of interest. But up front, if you want to increase your conversion rate, decrease the number of people that you speak to. In our case, Henry just asked some of the qualifications for someone that we're targeting out in the marketplace. Other people need to do the same thing. If you do that, your conversion rates will go up. Now, the second issue is how do you get known in the marketplace? How do you shape that conversation? We'll talk about that in a couple of minutes, but most important is to be known as the expert in a particular area. And we've got Henry right now. We know what he's the expert in, and people knock on his door because of his expertise. So you're bringing those people to you because they're looking for that level of expertise. Not a huge fan of going after those kinds of businesses that do not need someone who's an expert. They need a generalist. And a generalist typically is someone who is put down a certain level of pricing and a commodity nature of thought. I like Henry's story about the company who hired him through Taiwan to go right. And we work with an idea called founder's fee. So in the case of Henry, he has his business, but there's a premium for the founder to be doing the work for you. And that takes, for anybody who's in the professional services side, a different level of conversation. I have services to offer. If you are convinced, because of our relationship, the conversations we've had, that we're the right people to do it, that's fine. There is a premium for the founder to do the work. In Henry's case, he just charged a 25% founder fee, which is just saying, I'm going to go ahead and I'll be doing that work on your behalf. So, Henry, you may have a question that expounds on that or expands on that, but I just listened to your conversation and made me laugh because we had this conversation 3 hours ago about what the founder fee premium would be on a very large contract.
They're talking about me going to Taiwan, and I had to research, like, what would I charge them to go to Taiwan? Because it's not my US day rate. And yeah, and with what's in the news about China and Taiwan, I wasn't going to put combat pay into it, but still there needed to be something more about actually going there. Tom, what you talked about before, the expertise marketing, you and I have shared a lot of conversations on that, or authority marketing, and certainly you practice that. I in baseball parlance, I threw a softball up to you on that first question because I knew you would hit it out of the park, because you defined very precisely what your niche market is and who they are. And that's who you write about, you speak about, you're on podcasts like this and you talk about. Whenever you're there, you're sharing valuable information for that group. Now, other people can benefit from what you teach at Hunt Big Sales. They certainly do. But you want to attract, and you do, these people who want that expertise. And there are many people at Hunt Big Sales who can help. Certainly Kara Jane, the president, and others there who can serve clients. But it is an interesting notion. If you want the founder, there's a premium price to that.
There's a lot to talk about the idea of pricing, and maybe in this conversation, pricing is really important. one of the things that we work with on our clients, on ourselves, with other people, is how do you put a price on the kinds of services that you do? And we try to attract those people who are looking for premiums, where it's founders premium, or there's some additional something that you can't put in an RFP and send out to the marketplace and say, all right, put me next to this other company against this other company where I'll be incrementally better. And at the end of the day, price will be not as much of an issue, but still an issue. When you get into that idea, you are commoditized, whether or not you want to believe that or not. When you get into a day rate, no offense, or you get an hourly rate, you are putting yourself in a position of unworthy comparison. A day with Henry is not a day with, and I'm not saying that your day is very different. And the reason it's different is there's more hours before the day. There are more hours after the day. If they buy you for a day, they're actually buying 2 days, maybe an additional 4 hours. That they're not buying the travel time there and back. All of it is around. One of the things, if there's worth anything writing down for anybody, it would be this: problem equals price. Whatever the issue is, does it have scale and does it have urgency to solve? That changes the nature of the value that you price at. And pricing by hour, by day, any dollars for time, you just become the most expensive plumber. Hours for time or dollars per hour, rookie mistake.
I remember I was booked to speak in Kentucky last May, and I added time to the trip so I could drive up to Indianapolis and see you, and as in the words of the late Zig Ziglar, get a checkup from the neck up about my grand master plan on what I was going to launch in the next 6 months. And you gave me a lot of great refinements and great thinking. When we wrote the book together, and it was your idea, and you were the lead author on the Warren Buffett book, but you said something to me then. It says, we're linked together for life now. And it's something I was very willing to do. You have a beautiful brain, Tom Searcy. Okay,
I am grateful to you. So
thank you. So what about the how? What advice are you giving to your clients now about how to do all this? And I know I've been in reading you and your authority marketing pieces that come to me in the mail that you're seeing a change and you're getting people prepared for the change and how they need to approach things differently these days. What could you share with our viewers?
There's a lot of things that are going on. I'll try and cover just 3 core pieces. The first one is the value of expertise is exceeding the value of relationship. Let me explain that. Business relationships are, in my opinion, are at the intersection of trust, expertise, and preference. You can do 2 of them, and without the third one, you will not get the opportunity to do the deal. In the past, it was all about personal contacts with a secondary issue around the 3 things that I just said. So that piece of the way in which business relationships form, deals get cut, and et cetera, is a strong message around the idea we are the experts. Most important that goes out there. Henry goes out there carrying forward a very large conversation about expertise. Expertise also includes the failing of not following the expertise. He talks about trust. He creates that through his credentials, his background, his references, and et cetera. And then he creates the sense of preference. And preference comes from the idea if I stack 3, 4, 5 different groups together, I trust Henry more. I believe his expertise is more. And working with Henry has a clear sense of to be enjoyable, efficient use of my time. And so I prefer that with the other 2. And so first thing is the change in business relationships. Second thing is the issue of marketing and sales. We are cutting out the middle. We hear an awful lot about this at SaaS level companies, and there's been a lot in the media about delayering. large organizations and taking out the middle level management, those kinds of things. Same thing's happening inside of organizations when they're trying to sell. It is easier and harder for us to get it's delayered, so I can get to the CEO or the C level or the buyer level inside organizations. I was talking to a company yesterday. They have 22 people in there, and I was talking to somebody to get to the meeting and the conversation, and the title of that individual was chief of staff. And chief of staff, I mean, who has a chief of staff when you have 2,200 people? You might not have a chief of staff. That chief of staff, my sense is that chief of staff will be gone, not because of quality work, not because of lack of friendliness or duration or whatever. It's because organizations are delayering. So going back to message point one, people want experts. They do not want services. They need to get the endpoint. So the third thing is, how do you demonstrate that you've got expertise out in the marketplace? You've got to be a voice. Look at Henry. He's got this voices through this. I also have a podcast called The Big Sale Illuminati. We have books that are going out regularly. Henry speaks on a regular basis. We have people from our organization that speak. We write a great deal as far as publishing on LinkedIn and publishing through magazines and blogs and other groups. So does Henry. And I say that only, not only because we're simpatico, it's because Henry has a great example of doing the three things that I'm talking about. And it's easier to refer to him because he has an audience like the one right now that can recognize that expertise in those 3 points I just made.
And you can form relationships with other people who serve that client with expertise, but your expertise is different. For example, I would never pretend to be the expert to teach them how to change the selling system and process. I would call you in a flash. I'm not the person to do the big audience research project for an agency or their client. I'd bring in Susan Beyer from Audience Audit. It just goes down the list that I'm also finding that the relationships we need to be forming are with the other places our clients go for expertise. And we can amplify each other's messages and expertise and voices. So I'm always excited when I have someone like you on the show or bring some other expert that rounds it out. I don't always have to be harping on that. I'm the agency book guy. I'm the agency book guy. By the way, I didn't come up with that. I found other people were calling me that. And I'm like, okay, I like it. I'm the agency book guy.
Yeah.
And you don't say you're a thought leader. You don't say you're the expert. You don't say you're the authority. You let other people say that about you. And that's what's so great about you, Tom. People have been saying you are the thought leader, the expert, and the authority when it comes to the big sale and the sales that make a difference. And is there any other message you wanted to leave this week with our viewers?
I thank you, by the way, for the compliments. I'm grateful for that. I would say that the tighter your niche and your brand, the more you'll be known for that. We compete against 30,000 sales consultants out there. To be a sales consultant is to be a former vice president of sales who lost his job or her job. That's what it takes to be a consultant inside of my space. However, just got
Nobody's out of work, Tom. We're just consulting.
That's right. Well, so however, just got named. I'm do a little brag. Just got named one of the top 30 gurus in the world on sales, and so that's a great honor. Out of those 30, there is one company that focuses on enterprise level and big sales out there. Us. So, and you say, "Wow, that's good." I don't know if the other people do it or not. They don't want to focus. They haven't decided to slice that thin. But if you're an accounting firm, or if you're a book company, or if you're a full services provider of books and all the other promotional materials, you need to be able to say, "This is the space I stand in, and these are the spaces that I don't." It raises your fee and your visibility. So that's the only other thing I would add, Henry.
I find you don't compete as often either, because it's not like, well, give me a couple of people to round this out. If you're dealing with the expert and you're getting good information from the expert, you're going to go with the expert.
Absolutely.
And certainly not the other people who are quoting the expert. So that's a great position to be in. Tom, thank you so much for visiting with us this week. And I look forward to our viewers coming back for another episode of Agency Rainmaker TV.